I guess we're a couple minutes after 8. I will call this meeting to order. Certificate open meeting laws requirement have been met. Mary nods, thank you. We have a 17-item agenda this morning. Looking for a motion.
I'll second.
Any questions, adjustments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes from the previous meeting. Anybody?
Motion to, second.
And a second? Questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. We'll start our 15-minute public comment period. Members of the public will have 15-minute block of time to comment on today's agenda items. Members may be present in person or call in with such comments. To comment by telephone, please call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at discretion of the committee or board. Leave that open. I don't see anybody. You have any comments on our agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on, leave it open for a few minutes in case the phone does start to ring. County sales tax and general fund updates, they're in the packet. Sales tax is holding on. It looks like we will end up maybe as much as 200,000 over budget. So that's good. General fund hasn't changed. Any other questions? Department reports and requests. First one up is quarterly update from Register Deeds, Sue Ackerman.
Okay, so you should have a handout in your packet.
Yep.
All I really wanted to say about the scanning media conversion project is it is done. They uploaded 60,078 images that we have to now index. So that is what we're doing in all of our free time. We did transition to the My Tax account for the Department of Revenue for all electronic transfer returns. That seemed to go pretty well. There was a few glitches, but overall it was a pretty smooth transition. We'll see what happens now that we have to pay the state their share. Hopefully that'll be smooth as well. I did give the revenue and document statistics for the year for 2025 as well as 2024. We seem to be pretty much in line. And then I just gave you a handout also of all of our monies that we took in for the year, but did not account for expenditures on that last sheet. Anyone have any questions?
Any questions of Sue about the audit? I didn't see any going through it, so.
Okay.
I didn't even see any questions, much less concerns. So, thank you. Next item up was a quarterly update from the treasurer's office with Michelle.
Good morning. Our new tax program is going very well with our office. The data is now all web-based, so it's accurate information right away for whoever is online looking, wondering if their payment was received or not. We don't have to wait for the uploads anymore. We went through the interim settlement, which used to be called the January settlement. Went well. Support staff helped with all the steps and going through it. If numbers aren't entered correctly, the municipality has to go back and update their statement of taxes. So the program does not allow for an error, because they're reading what the IRS has and then what the
Is that similar, you're talking about like town of Burnside had the issue? Is that what you're talking about in this, or is that a whole totally different?
No, totally different.
Totally different, okay.
Yep. The municipalities have been busy collecting the first installment tax payments. They just had a few calls about receipting. Currently, as of this morning, there's been $8,724.77 left that they collected. Left to collect is $15,722,000. Today, starting today, the taxpayers are able to come into the county and they can make their second half of their installment or the first half that people forgot about. We did have a lot of people come in wanting to pay their first installment. So we did put a sign down by Mark and Travis. It helped a little. This week, I will be working with Ascent also, the support staff. We're gonna be doing the February settlements, and this is where the issue ended up last year, so they will be here to help. The 2025 tax roll is now out on the treasurer's website along with the mill rates. We've been having a lot of people calling, wanting them. Just to update on the foreclosure parcel that was in the town of Gale. After everything's been deducted, there's proceeds of $14,805.24 that's left over, and a check will be issued to the previous owner to Beaver Creek Development. Working on the 22 foreclosures currently, and we're gonna be having Land Records Office helping us with this. They just work with the assessors much more than we do. So they'll be telling us if things are in the best interest or not if we foreclose on. And we do check the DNR contamination sites. I included your investment spreadsheet. Is there any questions about that spreadsheet? Okay, and then the other spreadsheet was the investments of, showing how much and when they're due. December of this year, the highway bond, the 5.1 million, will be done. Delinquent taxes currently are $904,782. And a large part of that is the sand mines. 22 foreclosures, which is included in that 904,000, is $35,610.10, sorry. Any questions?
Not really, I just have one that I just, not real important. Just going through the list of investments, I don't see our local credit union as having any issues, anything in there. Is there a reason why we don't, I mean, are their rates not competitive? Are they, talking about the community co-op credit units out of Black River, but there's one in Strum, one in.
Oh, we do have,
I didn't see any with their name attached, that's why I was just.
okay.
It's
Just the way it's been, I mean, I can look into that.
It's local, if we aren't just considering them, we should be, I think.
Okay,
I
yep,
mean,
I can look
If
into
they're
that.
competitive, that's a different story. Okay, any other questions on the report? Comments? Good enough. Okay, next item up, discussion regarding City of Arcadia and City of Galesville letters/invoices assessing penalties to the August settlement. One thing I want to bring up, I just had the discussion with Susan, the term penalties in this, I don't, and I think I got the confirmation, feel is the correct term. It should be interest. Penalties are another whole phase that they could be coming after us for, but they are not. So I don't think the term penalties in our paperwork is correct. Any other discussion, comments about that? Susan, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that is correct. And I didn't see it within the Galesville letter. Looking at it this morning, it's just in the Arcadias. I think it's just that they are essentially requesting the interest and used the wrong word.
Right, so. Did you have any more on that?
No, their estimate that they put in the letter is correct. I went over the calculations for both of them.
So basically, we have a resolution before us here in the amount of $4,750.05 from the general fund into the treasurer's account to pay these two. Discussion? My understanding is we don't have a choice but to pay this, so therefore we have to find the money someplace. So,
Let's go back. Where does that deficit come from?
where's what?
What caused that to be overrun? Was that
Those
just bringing
late-
in?
Late payments on the second half tax that
Is it all
happened back in
that?
August.
But we also had Lori come in too, and I don't know if would that affect your budget? Or is it, this is just the payments for
This is
the
just the
late?
payment to the two cities, yes.
That's all right there.
Yeah.
Right. Lori's was from a different
It was, okay,
source, yeah.
okay. Just getting clarity on that. Just one-
So,
Are we then looking into procedures put in place to prevent this from occurring in future? Does anybody can answer that?
As I have found out with our January interim settlement, you don't have the right numbers, it doesn't let you do anything. So that means it doesn't get uploaded to the IRS. It just sits there until you work with the municipality and figure out where the error is, then it will let you move on. So I really like this system. Unlike the other one, we had no support. It was, you're on your own.
so just to clarify for me, okay, the municipality sends you a set of numbers,
Correct.
and then you try to upload them. If they're not right, the system won't let you enter them.
That was the old system, you had to upload them. These are real time. When they enter them, I can see what they're entering.
Okay?
And then I have it, they don't have the full settlement sheet like I do. So then everything fills in automatically.
Okay.
So if they have something wrong, I won't be able to save it and upload and send it to
Okay,
the.
will they be notified that they have something wrong through this
Yes,
system?
yes, I have to, so we,
You
'cause-
have to, or the system will automatically do it?
No, it'll give me errors, and I'll go ahead and then contact him, because we have a deadline of February 15th, so.
So what I'm looking for is, do we have some system in place that raises a really big red flag for you? Or could you conceivably miss it and informing them, hey, you're wrong, you gotta do this over, or do it different? What prevents it sitting there looking at us without anything being done? I'm not sure I even know what I'm asking, but it just seems like there's something missing in there in what I'm hearing.
Yeah, if the number got entered wrong, it's, a lot of time it's the rounding.
Okay,
So all the information I enter, it just sits there. It will not let me save it. So every time I go in, I have to redo that municipality until we can get it right.
so that, when you say you have to redo, you send them some sort of a notice, email or whatever?
Email or a phone call. It depends on how short the time frame is. Because for the interim settlement, I had numerous problems with the village of Trempealeau. So between having the support staff of Ascent working with me, telling me this is what needs to get fixed, this is what they need to do.
I would suggest an email and a phone call, because this look, that way, if it's possible, you know, because your interpretation of how much time is left may not fit their program of how much time is left. That way, if you send an email, now we've got a, quote, paper trail that, hey, we told them you did it wrong, you need to fix so we can go on. So therefore, if something goes awry, we can prove that we were doing our part. So, just a suggestion. I don't
Yeah, and
know.
I guess that's what I was getting at, is what procedures do we have in place to cross-check and make sure everything's a balance? And I know for the village of Trempealeau, they knew their numbers were wrong when they received it immediately. So if we've got this coming back to us every year where we've got to transfer funds to make up these differences in the interest and whatnot that accrued, we just want to prevent that from occurring in the future.
And what I've gotten so far is it just won't let me do it, and then I'm the one on the hook for not having my reports filed in time.
So that's what I'm suggesting, something for you to do to protect you and therefore the county of some kind of, well, hey, everybody knows that I'm a paper person, I'm not a computer person, so I'm calling it a paper trail. That says, hey, we notified you, you did this wrong, and you haven't gotten back to us, so therefore, it's your problem, not ours. And there's something along that line.
Yeah.
Like a safety catch or an alert that's saying, hey, this ain't
This isn't right, and it's back in your
right. So,
court to do something with it.
yeah, if the system would kick back something to you and say, hey, this ain't right, or this doesn't, I mean, I don't know the program, so I can't, I'm like you, Dave, I don't know how it works, but it's just, in the old, in the old way, you know, I say, there'd be something in there that would just flash or come out and say, this is not the numbers don't jive.
Right.
And it'd be nice if they had something inside the program that would kick it out if it wasn't balanced.
Back to the municipality.
Oh, well,
That
Like
says
when you're
it's-
sending out a check for $400,000 and only supposed to get 75,000. Something's gotta be there to maybe, it's not how you enter it, it's just how the system can be out of whack or something like that. Then it would kick it back to you and say, hey, you know, I know what you're saying, I don't know how to put it because I don't do programming. Heck, I didn't even bring my computer today.
So
But I know that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it? Dave?
yeah, something that protects you and the county to say, hey, we did our part, it's your end that isn't completing their task. I'm not sure how that works, but I would think there should be something there. I don't know if that's something you can handle on your own, something that you could help her with, maybe, Susan?
So I wonder whether it's a possibility for the program just to be able to kick out if the numbers aren't correct when they're entered in by the town, that it automatically generates a notice, and the alternative, you could send a letter when that happens. And then I think that's essentially what the supervisors are getting to, and then there's a formal record saying, you've done it wrong. You know, you've entered the wrong numbers into the system, please correct this before X date, so that then the county is not on the hook,
Right,
so.
so,
And I think, yeah, if you can work on that and maybe see how far we can get before the next exec finance meeting and kind of report what maybe you've put into place or that you're working on putting something in place and what that is,
it
so
appears
that
to
we
me
can
it shouldn't
stay on
be that
top of it.
difficult to do something like this with the technology we have, but
It
as long as I'm not
shouldn't-
doing it.
I would think with the technology we have in place, I don't think, and like you said, Michelle, that with the new program, this will help improve things right off the get-go. But I'd like to, yeah, see some more processes in place so that we can prevent that. Because this just is not good that we have to move funds because of error. It just, it should never be an error on our part, and if so, we should be notifying the communities so that they can fix things on their end and they know that they may have a problem. And everything should work together with the communities, school districts, and everything to get all of that down to the penny. So,
So we'll hopefully get something put together with that, and I'll try to follow up with you on it, tell you how it's coming. In the meantime, we have this resolution.
Do you want to read it?
Please.
I did say you. Whereas the treasurer's office was appropriated money in its 2025 budget for its miscellaneous charges account number 51520.218 in the amount of $4,000. And whereas the treasurer's office has reviewed its 2025 appropriations and expenditures in its budget and found deficits in its spending, particularly the miscellaneous charges account in the amount of $4,750. And whereas the treasurer's office is in need of money from the general fund to cover such deficits in the amount of $4,750.05, now be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby transfers $4,750.05 from the general fund account number 32100 to the miscellaneous charges account 51520.218 to cover these deficits.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Second. Second by Doc, okay. Any more discussion on this item?
Will there be any other municipalities?
Turn your mic on and speak up.
Is there going to be any more municipalities coming in and looking for interest like these two?
There could be a possibility. I've looked into it, and if it's just the interest, it'd be a little like 5,200,
For everybody?
yeah, for the ones that are left.
Okay.
$5,200 total or $5,200 in addition to this 47?
It would be in addition to this. They just haven't
Right,
sent
another
anything.
52, okay. My opinion is we let it ride until we see it.
Actually, there must be a cutoff date then, so
That was my next question.
Yeah,
Is there a
we're-
cutoff date on this?
otherwise they can sit and write it forever and then we got to pay a ton
Not
of.
one written into the statute. So
And anything we do now would be after.
at some point, I think there would be logically,
We close the door.
but
Yeah.
there's not one
Yep.
written in.
I don't really like bringing it up or opening a can of worms here, so.
Well, it's already been opened with
Yeah.
Independence School District.
I'm just not getting anything with debate.
What's that, John? I didn't hear.
We're not getting anything with this bait we're throwing out there, so.
Yeah, so. Any more questions or discussion? If not, I'll call for the vote. No, is this something we just approved, or do we have to move this on to full board?
It's got to go on the full board.
Okay,
We
yep,
need
Doc.
Doc was. You need a roll call vote. Susan?
Yep. Yep,
David Larson,
yes.
John Austin,
Yes.
Robert Becker,
Yes.
Richard Seisha,
Yes.
Bridget Turner,
Yes.
5-0.
Okay, that one's covered. And the next one, item 9, discussion possible action on treasurer's budget overrun resolution.
I think that's what you just did.
I thought it was two different ones. Nope. Did we? I thought we voted to put the money out of the general fund.
We did.
Now, don't we need a resolution to pay the bills? Pay the,
Yeah, that's what this is. for that one.
we did both in one?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, I'm. Okay. Legal advice says we covered both of them in the first one, so I will accept that and move on unless somebody has questions. Hearing no questions. Next one is the discussion on 2026 debt financing with Brian Riley. Turn it over to you, Brian.
Good morning to you all, and thank you. We'll try to keep this brief, but also available to answer any questions you might have as well as we go through just some high-level information and really more of just picking up where we left off last calendar year at the point in time you were considering your capital budget. And so as of right now, all prior authorizations are in place for a borrowing to occur in 2026 to fund your 2026 capital budget, or at least a large portion of it. You do have other funding sources related to your capital items. In November of last year, the board approved, I believe through unanimous vote, the authorization of an issue of general obligation debt not to exceed $4.4 million. I think the largest component of that is roads and bridges, and then scattered throughout our various other capital projects for various departments. We have in front of you what we would call our pre-sale report. Just kind of give you just the very high-level overview of what the transaction itself will look like, which is very much emblematic of how we looked at things last year when we were going through kind of final steps and checking boxes on the planning aspect and reviewing tax impacts. And so we do have an issue sized at $4,400,000. If you look at the exhibits to the pre-sale report, just gives you the numbers orientation. I don't intend to go through the language in the document itself, which is really for your information. The $4.4 million funds project costs that are just over $4.25 million. There are always adjustments on the day of sale that oftentimes allow us to move some additional dollars into the project fund. So that remains to be seen. We have a 20-year issue. I'm looking at Exhibit 1 in this case, if you're scanning through your handful of pages in this particular document. With maturities ranging from 2028 to 2046. As you'll see in what is essentially the kind of the final page here, the debt has been structured in light of what your current levy for debt service is. If you recall, going back a few years, we had some extensive discussions about the trajectory of your capital program over the next roughly 3 to 5 years, and built a levy structure to coincide with some of the opportunities that were approaching themselves with respect to debt that was being fully retired, and some drop downs in the structure for debt service. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. Interest rate wise, interest rates are better than where we had started this whole discussion going back to, I'd say, near the end of last year, the last quarter of calendar year 2025. And we're looking at potential borrowing rates on an all-in basis just under 4%. I will say we do have a little cushion built into that, somewhere around 0.25%. The market's been relatively stable to downward in terms of interest rate. We're not expecting anything major between now and what we'll talk about being the date of the bond sale itself. If we're looking at of course my screen goes blank here for some reason. Just open this one up again. Thanks for bearing with me. Exhibit 2 shows your existing levy for debt service numerically, and then also, the principal outstanding on your existing debt, and then also what is the impact to your borrowing capacity. And I think we've talked about this generally off and on over time, that borrowing capacity in and of itself is a limitation, but for the county is likely really not a practical inhibitor to how much general obligation debt you issue. It's more about what is the levy impact. And so you have ample access to this resource on a go-forward basis, even with additional debt issuance. The principal outstanding, setting aside the fact that you might issue new debt does decline materially year over year. Even adding new debt, you're still in a healthy place. You'll have almost 2/3 of your available borrowing capacity, to the tune of roughly $122 million. So again, you're not likely to access all of that or get even close to it. So we do want to manage that to some degree from how you look, but to me, it's more about looking at Exhibit 3 and what are you levying for debt service on an annual basis. And so this chart shows you where you've been and where you're going. And so if you look back to around 2024, we knew that there was going to be a need to fund capital over an extended period of time through the use of debt, and that you would have to levy for that debt service. And so a conscious decision was made when issuing debt in 25 that you would essentially take a step up to a slightly higher plane, so to speak. And we also knew we had some debt expiring in around 2027 and 2028 that we could also take advantage of. And so as you look at this, you can see where we've established kind of a new threshold at about $1.49 per thousand. At one point, that was as high as $1.60 with estimates based upon prior values. Your value has grown since then, which is a positive thing with respect to the tax rate, because you can generate more dollars at lower rates. So we're projected to be about in the same place from fiscal 26 to 27, but we are using your current value throughout this entire forecast period. So through the end final maturity of the new debt being 2046. So again, we were taking a step up, and then we're going to continue to backfill where we had drop downs in the structure, but also knowing that you would likely have additional capital needs. So again, you can see that there's a mild decline from 27 to 28, and then a more substantial one, 28 to 29. And then as you get out further, you can see there's a few other step downs in that one from 2041 to 2042 is when the Justice Center financing hits its full final maturity. And so you can see that's the biggest part of the overall bucket, right? And so that one is harder to control for, but we knew that at that time as well, and also stepped into a kind of a net neutral situation that we could take advantage of. So prospectively, this really does follow the map that was established a few years ago, and again, puts you on a trajectory where you can continue to fund your capital through the use of debt if you see fit, without having, we'll call it, meaningful tax impacts from an overall increase perspective. And so now we can try to keep threading the needle, so to speak, as you embark on additional capital financing exercises. And I think the approach we've been taking, where we do run updates and some planning in between debt issuance and looking at your capital side of the equation, makes a lot of sense and gives you information that you all need to have comfort with what your kind of more of a multi-year budget framework looks like over the next 2 to 3 years. So I'll just pause there quickly before getting into calendar if there are any questions on the debt issue and the tax impact before understanding timing. All right, then let's talk calendar. And so consider this an update based upon the extensive discussions we had last calendar year on this particular financing, knowing that you were going to authorize it in concert with adopting your capital budget and a larger budget overall. So now we've moved forward in time, updating you on where things stand and what the issue looks like. Behind the scenes, we're crafting documents with the assistance of your team, providing us information that we need to populate those. The larger document stands as what we'll call the disclosure and offering document for the transaction. And so that's all getting pulled together. We can update the county board if needed here in February. The intention is to physically sell the obligations, market them, sell them in March to coincide with your March board meeting. So just like we have in the past, earlier that morning, bids will be due, and we will compile them on your behalf, run all the numbers, adjust the final, and then a resolution comes to the county board that evening that is essentially binding, locks in all rates and terms with closing to follow a few weeks after that. That would then give you the dollars you need to continue to pay what you need to reimburse for any prior expenditures, and also continue to pay for your capital cost throughout the remainder of this fiscal year. Again, we're slated for closing early April, in fact, April 8th. And so roughly 60-ish days from today until physically closing on the transaction. Obviously, there are things to do in between, which would largely get taken care of going forward. So again, I'll see if there are any questions on the calendar or other expectations.
Brian, Dave here. On the calendar, Board of Supervisors meeting to award sale on March 16. Is that the final action of the board? Because you have the closing date of April 8th, which would be later. Is there anything on April 8th that the board needs to do, or will our work be completed in March?
Your work will be completed in March. All prior authorization is complete through adoption of the authorizing resolution in November. Remember, the hurdle there was 3/4 vote of the board. And so that's all set. The next action would be adopting the resolution for essentially the issuance, awarding the issuance and sale of the obligations. In that resolution, the board essentially authorizes its staff and the other professionals you've engaged to do all actions necessary to achieve closing. And so the board won't have any further action once that resolution is adopted in March.
My concern was just leading to the potential new board on that date. I remember the shock I had because it was in the April meeting, my first meeting.
Yes, so we've tried to pivot away from that, if you recall. And so backing up time, number one, to get you in a position where you're authorizing the debt aligned with adoption of your capital budget for the next fiscal year, and then having the resolution that awards the issue and sale to be with the current board who also authorized the transaction in the first place rather than put it on the agenda early in the next board's tenure where they wouldn't have as much information and weren't involved in some of the planning aspects. And so there will be no action of the board subsequent to the meeting on March 16th.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Hearing nothing, I guess we move on to the next phase.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Item 11, software implementation updates with Rebecca.
So I had sent some correspondence out to you previous to the meeting. I'll just read those in so that you have, so that the public hears where we're at for our updates at this point. We have the two systems, UKG, timekeeping and payroll, and then we have our financial system that we're working through Tyler. And so Stacy Silla primarily is working through the UKG piece. And this is the system that we're struggling with a little bit more. So I'll give Stacy's update, and then I'll give you some things that we've been working through in the process afterwards. I have been in contact with Supervisor Larson and Turner to talk about our progress, as well as with Chair Austin. So just giving you an overall update here. Progress to date is still undetermined. I'm not done with W-2s, waiting for a response from UKG why the supplemental payroll we ran yesterday for health insurance incentives for those no longer employed has not hit my taxable numbers. Again, this is from Stacy. I'm understanding the reports better. I just need time to sit and process them to figure out what works and what doesn't. I just haven't had the time. Becky at the highway has started entering the department's timesheets, and that has been helpful, saving me time. A few adjustments were needed, but she's understanding it very well. I was hoping to have Lynn in the health department set up, enter in theirs. That department needs things broken out by account number because of the grants that they work on, so their entry is very time consuming. She just hasn't had time to meet with her yet, hoping to get her into the system and can get her insight on how the timesheet setup would best work for the health department. A major difficulty is that it was our first quarter end in UKG and year end at the same time, which is a very busy and chaotic time, especially when you're not familiar with the system. Support is still one of my major problems with UKG. It's hard to get a response right away, especially when you need to due to deadlines. Things have been marked urgent by our UKG Circle of Success liaison, but it's still not a great response. Another issue we have is that we as a county don't utilize their payroll services fully due to the fact that the healthcare center numbers need to be combined with ours for finally quarterly and yearly filing. This has caused some issues with how our quarter and year-end processing has been handled, such as closing the year without my knowledge because they thought we were a payroll services user. We've worked with our UKG liaison to hopefully have this addressed for the future, but it's been something I've been really struggling with. Next steps are for me to scrutinize the system, see where things can be improved and changed for better efficiency. I want to retake some of the initial trainings we had now that I'm in the system, and I think I will learn much more from them. Then I want to get more trainings for departments so they have a better understanding of the system and what it can do for them, such as time tracking and reports. I think the trainings would be most effective if they were done by department, since each department operates a bit differently, similar to how we previously used different paper timesheets. That way I could get things set up more accurate for the specific departments. I gave you an email that Stacy had sent out to staff, thanking people for their patience, letting them know that we have most in the system. She's saying she ran into a few issues along the way, but made it through. Continue with questions. There's a few things we need to work out, but we're making good progress. I think that piece of it was maybe going okay, and then you throw in end of year and taxes and all that, and it's really stressful. So understandably, it really is when you're learning a new system, as she states, and it's all at once. So I would say that Stacy has had good support from Daryl in IT recently, and he's really been very helpful. In my follow-up, I had told you I was looking at contracting if Baker Tilly could help us with training another individual and getting SOPs completed, and then finding in our areas of where we're missing. I did receive a follow-up from them in a bid on that, which I think is out of reach for what we're looking to do. The cost on that was substantial. And so I'm back to thinking more internally on how we can get those things completed internally. So as Stacy had shared, Becky Chandler has started in the system with entering. She is a good learn. She's been in the system before. She just put together the SOPs over at the highway so that we have that completed. And now with the team out there, I don't know that it was just her, but she's also going to start with trainings this week in UKG. I think in my follow-up, I had a lot of conversations with other counties and talking to them, specifically St. Croix, Dunn, Eau Claire, and La Crosse County. And first, I just wanted to find out, because we have a history of the non-support, that we only have one person in a critical role like this, it is very important that we have backup. I shared with you the last time we tried to get there, we didn't have success with that. With Becky moving into that, I think that is very critical. So my conversations with all other counties is, yes, they have at least one, if not more, people in backup in that type of position. So that is very important that we do get that completed. And so I think we're on the right path to get there. With each of those counties that I specified, they're all in UKG or just moving into UKG. So for instance, Dunn County, they're getting rid of their old system and just going into UKG. Eau Claire County, they are just moving into it, but these counties, in my discussions with them, they use it for the time management piece. not for the payroll piece. And so I think it's important that we continue to evaluate. We're moving from paper copies of timekeeping into a whole system, so it's a big deal. I mean, and that, there's just no way to sugarcoat that. It's a big deal, it's a lot of work, and it's a big change, which is a good change, but the question is whether the time management piece, which a lot of counties use, if that's better to use with a payroll system like we're putting our financials into Tyler. So I think that's something that we need to continue to evaluate. I would say La Crosse County, they were happy with the system. They did just leave UKG after many solid years. I spoke with the county administrator there, and they were just moving to another system because they wanted to bundle other things that could be used with that system that they felt like they were missing. So I'm not sure, again, we haven't been happy with what Stacy's saying with some of their service. I have connected her well with individuals within the system that are a lot more responsive. I think, again, it's a feeling of like it's crunch time, it's the end of the year, and we want immediate, which is difficult in any system because they're all dealing with this end of year type of thing. So that's the hard piece. La Crosse, in my conversation with her too, she said, you know, we moved out of it a year ago into this new system. She said, we've been in that a year. That we're still making changes to their new system that they're in. So I just trying to make a point of, it is a huge change. It is a big deal, and I think Supervisor Turner brought this up in her experience in the hospital systems too, and doing something like this. It is a big deal, so, and so I'm sure, again, I think we have to continue to analyze where, in making sure that we're getting the support we need. That is critical. Let's see. I do think that the SOPs, in order for us, is Tim here now? Yeah. So in order for us to work with an outside group to help find where our deficiencies are, we need those standard operating procedures to know what is it that you're already doing and that where the gaps are and the things that we need. And we don't have that. And so we need to get through this tax piece first, but that'll be primary after that. And we'll have internal, again, internal people working with Stacy to help get that completed. So, but Tim could maybe speak to the group again too that we're in conversation with it. That it just doesn't pay. We'd spend a whole lot of money to bring in a group that we're not ready for them. So that's where the UKG piece is. I will let, do you want to say anything here, Tim, before I step into Tyler?
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything to add to that because that's exactly correct. We've searched for people who are experts in helping you optimize a payroll system like this, and particularly firms that specialize in UKG and UKG Ready. And they reached out, and most of them want it to be a subscription-based setup where you pay for 6 months to a year, and you have them totally integrated into what you're doing so they can optimize and help you not only solve problems, but make it more efficient. And it's really great, and I think the private sector that is allowed to solve problems with money, that's the first thing they would do. We don't have that option usually here. We have to be more pragmatic with how we use our funds. So the very first thing that we discovered in our process of evaluating some of these options was, so what is your current process and how do you spell it out? And they're basically saying, we can't tell you where to go if you don't know where you've been. So we're working on that. Individuals are stepping up where they can to create those. And the primary person, of course, that needs time to work on that is really, really busy. So we're not getting there yet. But we're trying to help. And IT, we're providing assistance in that regard. We're also working on some of the things on the perimeter, trying to help automate some of these features. So we're working on optimizing it. But we're primarily concerned with getting things to the point where everything's the way it should be initially on that main component. Optimizing we can worry about, and automation we can worry about later. Anything else?
Oh, it's perfect.
It sounds like we're working on it, just as a side note, maybe worthless. But I had a conversation with a school official recently who went to a new system. They said it was 9 months of what appeared to be day-to-day disaster. And all of a sudden, between 9 and 12 months, it started coming together. And they've now been in it a couple of years and are happy, very happy with what they have. So what we're experiencing is not totally uncommon.
I think you're right.
You are
And-
absolutely correct on that. I don't think our idea was that it was going to go any different than it has. As far as we were concerned, we always suspected. Most of the people I talked to, the references we were given said the first 3 to 6 months are a nightmare. But once you get it set up, UKG has pretty much set it and forget it. So we are currently working through that painful period. You nailed that on that kind of thing.
Tim, so, and not to get too far into the weeds, but, so basically what you're saying is, because I'm lucky enough to have a daughter that works and works with a different program, and so she's filled me in on a lot of the background and the creation of these matrices, and then coding different employees and whatnot, and that enables you then to let it basically almost run itself. They're clocking in, they're putting in times, and then someone else is just checking it. But yeah, they have 3 people that work in a department for 800 employees. So I'm definitely thinking that this is going to take a while, and with Stacy being on her own, you know, and definitely I think to protect the county as a whole and to make sure that everyone gets paid appropriately, that we need to have either another body in there, because obviously Stacy's not here every day. She's allowed vacations, sick days and whatever. So imparting that knowledge to others, is that going to be part of this training?
And that's the essential part of the SOPs is you got to start documentation somewhere, and then you're going to build off those SOPs. And as you go through the process, hopefully you're discovering things, because we've been using the same system since 1987, right? So we haven't really had to evaluate what we were doing because it was automatic to a lot of people. I mean, we've been doing it the same way for so long. And now we're trying to take a lot of those things that we were doing before and shoehorn them into something else. And sometimes that's essential. You have to do it because that's what the government requires of us, or it's just the way it works. It should be that way. There are other things you didn't even know you should be optimizing. So we're running into those things, and we're working through it together. And yeah, the resources, we just don't have a lot of time because we're also working on a financial system at the same time, remodeling the courthouse. You know all the excuses, but we're working on it, and I feel like we're going in the right direction. We just have to keep everybody focused on what triage the things that need it right now, and we'll work on the other stuff later. So.
I think in follow-up to your conversation with your daughter, too, I just wanted to, in all of my conversations, I wanted to make sure that we were appropriately staffed as far as we want to get backup for payroll, but are we appropriately staffed? In each of my conversations in St. Croix, Dunn, and Eau Claire, they all have 650 employees or so, and they do have 1 payroll person as well. So I felt more confident about, okay, at least, you know, I think if we can get the system, it is no doubt stressful, but thanks again to IT and their help. And I think, you know, again, if we can get through this tax piece, UKG recommended that Stacy, and now as well as Becky, but Stacy retaking all of the trainings, because now it'll make a whole lot more sense after she's already worked in it a while. So we're hopeful that that will be good progress, and we just got to get through this really hard time right now.
When do you foresee this another 3 months, another 6 months? Or when are we gonna get back, on track where everybody's comfortable with it?
Well,
I mean, on the average, what are these companies, does it take, like, who said that, 6 months or a year? I mean, I'm just wondering, I wish, nobody told us that ahead of time. They said it would be some stumbling blocks, but in being not involved in it as much as you guys are, you know, everybody thinks it's gonna be 3 or 4 months, because it is all new. And they kind of made it sound like it was gonna be a smooth transition. Well, it's obviously not, and when new things,
Are
you
you a
never have that.
teenager?
It never works. I was just
I
wondering.
think you were hearing what you wanted to hear there.
No, this is from the conversations before, Tim. This isn't from
I think
today.
I tried to make it as scary
This
as
is-
possible when I was talking
Well,
about
when-
it.
When those people are here on the screen telling us about this stuff, about why we should implement theirs.
Right.
That's the information we got.
Right.
Not from what we got today.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what do you think
I would say that
would be a timeframe?
it all depends on the timing of the things involved. And I'm not a finance or accounting expert, so I can't tell you, but it feels like launching in October was just bad luck, because if you don't get it up to speed immediately, you're going to run into that year-end process, and you're just going to be buried. If we had a go-live date of June 1st, I think we probably would be not even talking about this anymore. But it's probably going to be stretched into June because of all the fixing of the year-end stuff, as well as trying to get the other finance program online, because of help isn't available because they're busy doing another system. So yeah, I think June, July might be a realistic time for everything working it the way we want it to be working. Sorry about that, but
I wanted a date.
Yeah.
it's a fair question.
Yeah, but as a part of that, that is like the learning of our internal group and going through that time that it takes in setting up the SOPs and all of that. So I think that will all help, but I think Tim's accurate in that estimate. Going on to the Tyler system, so that's rolling out better, I would say. But again, I think for people to feel really comfortable, it's probably going to be another 6 months just to, again, work through everything. Amy, then I'll read her report. Progress to date, check printing has been successfully completed in the new system. Fiscal staff and department heads are now entering their own payable invoices. The system is fully live and operational. Positive pay files are uploading correctly to RCU. Current challenges, healthcare center payables. The import process is highly sensitive to formatting and require precise file structure for successful uploads. Credit cards, end user training is needed to understand and validate the full workflow. Upcoming work plan, continue refining user permissions and workflow configurations, review existing procedures to ensure they align with the most efficient practices for the county, build a deeper understanding of Tyler's reporting capabilities to support departments effectively. It's easy to see that the support that you get through the Tyler system is just better. It's a stronger support per individual support, so that's better. The healthcare center piece, that's been an issue that we wanted to get rid of the hand entry piece and bringing over information from the highway and from the healthcare center. So those are things that are still glitchy that we're still working through, even through the highway. They've got their own system that we're not going to change or mess with because it's highly specific to their operations. And so we're working through how do we get that data so we can upload it directly into the system so that we don't have to do the hand entry piece. But that's all to come.
You're talking about the Kansas.
Chems to the RT Vision and then, get it into our system. Right now, that's what Becky's doing. She's still doing the hand entering piece of that until and again, IT and the highway department is working on trying to figure that piece out with UKG and how we can get that system data directly uploaded. That's all I have, unless you have other questions.
Do you have more questions on it?
I just hope that you stay on top of these people, Becky, because, like Tyler, they knew that we had the chem system, and that was one of the big things we pointed out right to start with. So they knew it was there. It wasn't like, oh, 2 months later, it's a surprise. No. And to me, it's frustrating because you tell these people this is what you need, and then they tell you what you want to hear almost. And now they struggle with the piece that we asked them specifically about. And that's, I think, what we all find a little frustrating. And if you just stay on them and make sure they have enough support for our group so that we can get this turned over by June. And if that'd be great if we can get it done by then and have it running smooth. But I think you got to stay on top of them and push them and tell them, hey, this is frustrating for them and for us, but we're the ones putting money out here. And it takes a lot of time for the workers to be doing that and amongst their other work that they have. So,
It does. It
so
does.
please stay on top of them.
I have asked to be included on emails, so I am following up, especially with UKG, so that I'm following up with those individuals to make sure that when Stacy needs something immediate, that's happening and getting responses. So it seems to be like I'm getting responses from them. It seems to be better on her part as well. I just think it is a difficult time.
I don't see anything else, so we will move on to item 13, discussion on the housing and childcare task.
12, you go to 12.
What did I miss? Oh, wait, compensation. I drew the line in the wrong place, and I didn't catch it. We gotta talk about salaries.
There you go. So you have the information in front of you regarding compensation for clerk of court and sheriff with the resolution. This is, we have to have this completed by April because they have to know wage before they take out papers for these positions. So I am bringing this forward to you for consideration and discussion. The Personnel Bargaining Committee did approve that in 27, 28, 29, a 3% increase, followed by a 2% increase in 2030. This falls in line with what we did for the registered deeds, treasurer, and clerk. I also gave you the map that shows the amounts that, like, the salary we have compared to the surrounding, but I also gave you a full printout this morning that can show you at least the data that I have from across the state on where the clerk of courts sits on that. Anyway, I did not print out the sheriff.
Mr. Chair, just a couple comments. Sorry, Mary, close your ears. But we made a little press in the paper, if you notice, Trumbull County Times, about this, which shows we're quite a bit above other people in the area, and maybe not fair to even bring it up. But in there also, 3 school districts are asking for increases on their tax, which will tax us several $100s. And I know this is a small portion, but I just think we're just going a little bit too strong. And it isn't that we're not getting people to run for those positions. We do have that. I just think we're just a little bit strong because of the comparisons with local counties. Just a comment.
Well, I will just say, if you look at, compared to Buffalo, Jackson, Pepin, we're a little bit above them. The difficulty becomes the competition from Eau Claire, Jackson, La Crosse. And again, the compression piece of this head person compared to the people in the office and what they're making. I just bring that forward for consideration. We will, we will have this wage study this year for other employees to consider as well. So Compression piece is something always that, to consider as well. But
But we do get good people running for those particular positions,
yes,
for sure. Yeah. And the sheriff, it sounds like we're gonna have several running for that position, from what I hear.
Well, and to your point, Rebecca, we've got that compression piece, but one of my questions would be, is we also, when you look at these counties that are, La Crosse and Eau Claire counties, they have a much larger county than Trempealeau County. And I think that makes a huge difference. How many people are in your county? How many people are you providing support for? So I take that into account as well, not just location and that compression. And yeah, I think it's probably also a struggle for Pepin and Buffalo and Jackson County in the same regard, but we are all kind of compressed in that area between those communities, but I don't believe that we're in any different boat than some of the counties like Walworth that is stuck between Madison and Milwaukee. Dodge County, I'm sure they have issues like that as well.
Mr. Chair, I agree with Bridget. I think it would help, I think, if we had, you got them alphabetically, which is nice, but if you had populations of each county, so then you can compare, like you said, population, and then it gives us a true picture of what the other counties that are our size, what they're doing. Because I know the counties, but I don't know what the population is, It'd be a nice feature to have in here. If you make another one up.
We've set the wage ranges for the next, 3 years for the clerk, the treasurer,
and the register of deeds,
yeah,
yeah.
so
And-
4 years, okay.
And they're
Sorry.
a 3-3-3-2. And so that's just the consideration that personnel bargaining went through in thinking about that. You can change that.
So this was their recommendation to increase it to this
Yes, this-
2026 amount, right?
Right. This came out of personnel bargaining committee. And if you look at the back, the resolution on the back side goes onto the back sheet, in case you didn't see that, but that's where the salary increases are shown. If you look at the map picture that I have of both the clerk of courts and the sheriff, down in the corner, it shows a 2%, what a 2% would look like. On the back in the resolution, it shows the 3-3-3-2. So it shows the difference in what that would come out to.
I don't have that, Rebecca. I don't have any of that.
This? Well, I guess it was it was digital. It
Digital,
was sent
okay, yeah.
in the packet.
Oh,
I saw it in the packet. I was gonna
Is
say,
it?
if there was paper, I didn't have it either, but
Yeah, no, I did not print it because it was sent in the packet.
Yep.
I don't have that in my packet anywhere. Oh, yes, I do. I found it.
This will just come to the board, or doesn't even go,
Yeah.
for a final vote. So I guess as far as I'm concerned, let's see where the chips fall.
We could bring it forward, and then I could bring the population information along, as well as, just, I can break it down into the 222 all the way across. Then everybody can see that, if you'd like to see that. Is there anything else you'd like to see? I know in one consideration in my conversations as well, and thinking about the clerk of courts, is how many judges a community or a county has, and that impacts their workload as well. So, similar to the population conversation, but it does seem like we're in line for another judge. It does seem like we do have quite a bit of workload as far as coming through the judicial system here, so something to consider as well. I think we need the resolution read, though, correct?
Probably. Just a question first, why are we including coroner in this package? Because
It-
we went
it
to a
isn't,
medical
I don't-
examiner, did we not, or we're going to?
Where do you see that, I guess? I don't,
Well, in the
In the
package, in the
spreadsheet
wages and all
of
that, so coroner is included along with sheriff and clerk and court.
It's not in the resolution.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not in the resolution. It's not on the other data. That's carryover, so, yeah.
I'm still trying to
Sorry,
find
Mary, I had
the
to-
resolution
Mary.
again.
I had you in the wrong position. For some reason, I was. So you didn't care.
cheating, Kate. So did you make a motion to move it forward to?
No, we'll just vote on it.
Oh, you, yeah.
Do you want me to read it?
Personnel bargaining made the
Yeah,
decision.
go ahead,
so I
read it.
let- yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Establishing total annual compensation for clerk of court and sheriff pursuant to Wisconsin Stat 5922. Whereas pursuant to Wisconsin Stat 5922, paren 1, the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors must establish the total annual compensation for services to be paid to county elected officers, other than county board members and circuit judges, prior to the earliest time for filing nomination papers for the county elective offices. And whereas the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors desires to establish the total annual compensation for the clerk of court and sheriff, which is separate and distinct from the fringe benefits offered by the county to these positions, and which fringe benefits are subject to increase or decrease during the officer's term at the discretion of the county board in accordance with state and federal law. And whereas as part of the county's fringe benefit program, county elected officers may participate in the Wisconsin retirement system in accordance with state law. And whereas as part of the county's fringe benefit program, the clerk of court and sheriff may elect to receive health insurance coverage under the same terms and conditions as the health insurance coverage offered a non-represented managerial county employees who are not law enforcement managerial employees. Now be it resolved by the Trempealeau County Board that the total annual salary for the clerk of court and sheriff under Wisconsin Statute 5922-1 shall be set forth below to become effective on the first day of the term of office that begins after the date of this resolution. Be it further resolved that the clerk of court and sheriff are entitled to participate in the Wisconsin retirement system in accordance with Wisconsin law, and the county shall pay only its share of contributions required by law. And be it further resolved that the clerk of court and sheriff are entitled to participate in the county's health insurance program, subject to the terms and conditions of the program, which may be modified from time to time, under the same terms and conditions as the health insurance coverage offered to full-time county employees. Elected officer, clerk of court, 2026 current, $76,799.23. 2027, 3% increase, $79,103.21. 2028, 3% increase, $81,476.31. 2029, 3% increase, $83,920.60. 2030, 2% increase, $85,599.01. Sheriff, 2026 current, $106,995.83. 2027, $110,205.71. 2028, $113,511.88. 2029, $116,917.24. And 2030, $119,255.59.
do I have a motion to move this on?
If we move it on like that, can we, it still gives us the option to change the percentages at the full board meeting.
Absolutely. This was passed by personnel bargaining, by the way, so I'd make a motion that we just pass it on as is, and if you want to change it, you can change it at full county board. However, we did it for the clerk, the county clerk, we did it for register of deeds. We set theirs at the same rate, so I think just to be consistent, I think we should do it just the way it reads.
Yeah, I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
No, we got the motion. I need
Oh.
a second.
I'll second.
Second, okay. Now it's open, yeah. Any more discussion? Or do we just move it on to county board and make any adjustments there if that's what's to be?
Did they discuss with those other counties like Eau Claire and La Crosse by any chance, how many judges? Because I know La Crosse has 3. And, do you know? Oh, they have 5.
Yeah, between 4 and 6 would be fair. I will
Okay.
say that Judge
Somewhere
Radke has
in
a
there.
high percentage of cases throughout the state.
No, I don't have that broken down. I could follow up on
I was
maybe,
just curious as,
yeah.
but that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it would give us more information to base our decision on.
We should have 2 probably within the year, I would think.
I think within the next year or two
Yeah,
is,
for sure.
speaking with Judge Radke, it sounds, yeah.
And we did get the second assistant DA or whatever.
And my assumption would be that personnel bargaining vetted this quite closely and is giving us good information. So,
For lacrosse.
5 for La Crosse, okay. Thank you, Susan.
Is this something you need a roll call vote on again, or? Good idea. Okay. Any more questions? If not, to call the roll. Bridget?
Yes.
Doc?
Yes, to move it on.
Move it on. John?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes, under the understanding we can change the percentage.
That's my understanding also. So I'm yes with the same provision. Okay, oh, I should ask, there was nobody the wrong way, we're done, yep. I shouldn't say wrong way, other way. Okay, now, we can go on to the Housing and Child Care Task Force.
So I have this in your packet as an introduction, and I want to first introduce Hannah McKeever, who's on the online with us. She's our new Community Development UW Extension employee. And so Hannah works 50% with Trempealeau County and 50% with Clark. And maybe I'll let you introduce yourself and give a little bit of your background first.
Sure, thank you. My name is Hannah McKeever. I am the new extension educator here. I'm coming from Vernon County prior as the CDI educator there. So I'm excited to be here and happy. I've been doing housing for a while, so this will be nothing new for me. And I'm excited to help Trempealeau County out with a housing study. So prior to that, I do have experience with workforce development through the state, working for the WDA 9 area. So working through various things with youth in entrepreneurship or youth in workforce pathway navigation. So that's prior to that. And then I have an emphasis when I was in Vernon County on building capacity for entrepreneurship and ecosystem development that way. So this position will be a little bit broader, which I'm excited about. So I am looking forward to how I can help best serve Trempealeau and Clark counties. Thank you.
So Hannah and Lexi and myself, Lexi Communications and Economic Development, met and talked about where I'm at in a lot of these conversations. And I've had previous conversations with the city administrators and leaders within the county, and a lot of discussion about where to take the childcare housing conversation forward to next. And so out of those meetings, I met with Hannah and Lexi to say, I'm excited for Hannah to be here, first off, because this will be the piece that we need to continue some of this progress and conversation forward. And so really, I think it's very important that we have community input and community focus when we're talking about both of these issues on childcare and housing and learning opportunities. So this is a way to set up a task force that's an advisory committee that would be advising you and giving you information about programs that are out there, opportunities that are out there. And so Hannah has done a housing study before for Vernon County, which she has shared with me. I shared again with other county leaders. And we were all under the feeling like this would be a really great step forward for our county to have this housing study. If you remember, I did incorporate spending funds on a housing study during our borrowing talk, and identified $50,000 for that. And we have Hannah, who's actually going to put that together for us. And so I think this is a really great opportunity for us. We'll roll it out with a questionnaire to the communities and get input from everybody. I have already shared information with Hannah about the childcare work that we've already done. And then, and during that time and bringing this group together to work together, we'll be looking at, again, programs out there that are working that we might want to think about implementing here. So we're looking at 10 to 12 people being on this advisory board and thinking about people from that represent well from across the county. And so I've had conversations with Supervisor Larson about this and hoping for his participation on this committee, and then as well as others that we're discussing right now.
Any questions?
Welcome, Hannah.
I don't know who said that, but thank you.
Bridget Turner.
Any
If not-
questions?
Nothing at this point, okay. Thank you, Adam.
I do have a question
Okay.
about how long do you think before we get some information back from Hannah?
Well, at least our preliminary timeline that we have put together is, starting up fairly shortly with meetings in March and housing study completed, and so that it comes to the board by July, so that we can make decisions of this fall also in possibly in programming that we might want to incorporate as we go through budget, so.
Yep. And so just to further expand on that, basically with the work that I'm doing now, before the survey even gets started, I'm gathering the census data and some other data points that will help create a really good baseline snapshot of where the county is existing with housing and kind of what are some pressure points that we're looking for, so that when we're putting this together and we get to the point of looking at recommendations and some of that program or incentivizing area to look at from the standpoint of the county on what those recommendations could potentially be based upon what's already going on in the state or other things that have been done even across the United States too that could fit within the Trempealeau County area. That's all going to be done kind of in sequential order. So the initial will be the snapshot, and then we'll build upon that as the report's being built through the survey results and then the focus groups that we'll end up doing too in the communities.
Dave here, question. Will we as a committee be able to see the survey questions before they go out?
I'm gonna pivot to Hannah, I would assume that wouldn't be a problem, is that right?
To look at
Yeah.
and possible have input on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? Well, I guess we can move on.
Thanks, Hannah. Appreciate
Yep,
your
thank you.
popping in.
Item 14, update on the Make My Move grant application.
I just, real quick, wanted to let you know that we did put the application in for Make My Move. Lexi is heading that up. So she's working in collaboration with the Make My Move group, and so that has been submitted. That, if, just as a reminder, that's a talent attraction grant.
Yep,
and-
yep. Be interesting to see how that comes out.
Yep.
Any questions? Thank you. 15, discussion / possible action on the resolution of approval of the WWD LEO agreement with Susan.
Thank you. And would you like me to read it first, or?
Have we got a lot to read?
There's not a lot to read.
If it's relatively short, we'll read it.
And I can read it if you'd like.
I appreciate that.
Whereas pursuant to the Federal Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act, WIOA in parentheticals, federal funds are provided to states to provide job skills, education, and training to help individuals find employment. And whereas Wisconsin receives such funds through 11 workforce development areas, and Trempealeau County is in workforce development area, in parenthetical WDA 9 with 7 other counties, whereas the federal WIOA requires that each region creates a consortium formed by the counties contained within each region, and that each consortium establish certain operating procedures, duties, and responsibilities. Whereas the consortium is required to appoint and oversee a workforce development board in parentheticals, which oversees job centers and employment and training programs, et cetera, and be responsible for program planning and oversight, including financial oversight. And whereas the last consortium agreement was approved by the counties in 2015, and whereas the state of Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development is requiring a review / update of all governance documents in Workforce Development Area 9. And whereas the attached agreement forms the Western Wisconsin Counties Consortium, parenthetical WWCC, and contains the operating procedures, duties, and responsibilities of the WCC. Now therefore be it resolved that the Trempealeau County Board of Supervisors hereby authorizes the county WWCC board appointee to sign the attached chief elected officials consortium agreement of the Western Wisconsin Workforce Development Area.
Well, just for information, that was actually,
Yep.
that was actually due on December 20, or end of the year. So I signed it on December 29th. So it's already signed and they have it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And the other thing is, the last one was signed by Ernie Vold back in 2015. Yeah,
So,
What year?
2015.
do I have a second yet?
Second.
Second, okay. No, just,
Any
that's not in this resolution, but it's, to my mind, it's part of the discussion. See, one of the requirements in the new contract is to have errors and omissions insurance.
Yes.
Was that not in the last contract?
I don't recall that.
If it was, that should have been something to help protect this payment, shouldn't it?
It's such an old contract that I'm not sure, I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I think there were a number of issues with the variations of the contract too. So there was some execution issues, we'll just phrase it that way.
Okay, that was just
This
something
is a
I
better
caught
contract.
reading through it. Okay,
May I just point out one other thing?
Please.
'Cause if somebody, you may have this question or somebody else. The In any case of misuse, parenthetical disallowance of grant funds allocated, that's supposed to be in proportion to the population. So
Right.
that was discussed last month, so I just wanted to clarify.
Any other questions? Just a voice vote on this one, right? Yeah. Okay, all in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 16, confirm the date of the next meeting, March 2, 26. Any issues with that?
For information from me, after 6+ years on executive finance, this is officially my last meeting. I'll be in Arizona on vacation on the March meeting.
No, we don't allow that.
So make note of that, we'll be short one member that day.
Okay, well, everybody else needs to be here.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, March 2nd. Okay,
Are you really?
with that, I will adjourn the meeting.
You're in
at,
Mexico?
looks like
I'll be online.
9:35.